Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Nourished by TIme, Erotic Probiotic 2. So this was a debut album that really came out of left field before it started getting a lot of critical acclaim and year-end list consideration, where it might be a bit of a difficult sell. 80s freestyle, blended in with hazy hypnagogic pop and R&B, the sort of project that would feel simultaneously from a different time, but very contemporary. So I wanted to check it out, and this might be one of the most compelling, but also strange albums I've heard in recent memory, sitting at the intersection between Genesis Owusu at his smoothest and Alex Cameron at his most dazed, probably with a dash of PM Dawn for good measure. Music that in certain circles would probably become a meme or appreciated ironically for how much it doesn't really fit within genre conventions or for how odd it is, until you realize that it works. And even then, I'm not sure it's an adequate description of what Nourished by TIme is doing here. The mix is often very clean and impeccably balanced with a lot of glistening percussion, burbling bass, and some distant spikes of guitar that's careening through it. But then all the goopy keyboards spill over the mix to create a vibe that's not quite psychedelic or vaporwave, but it's not prim or restrained either. The piano work is legit impressive amidst the wheedling blur of effects. It feels very intentional, but also ever so slightly off. The sort of soft-focused, chintzy feel reserved for the forgotten and deeply strange 80s R&B that didn't have much of a budget and wound up in forgotten crates of old vinyl, or rather on old tapes. And that odd feeling is only amplified by a lot of the vocals, which are honestly kind of tough to describe. A bit of a lounge or vintage smooth R&B baritone, but coaxed through delivery where passion and soul is often more important than precise technique. And for as often as his voice spills into non-lyrical runs or where you just can't make out clear words, you can tell that's intentional as well, pulling from oft-forgotten traditions of black music that was allowed to be more free-form and abstracted. Now, I was almost tempted to call it impressionistic, given how free-form the writing can be, almost like your thoughts that have not fully coalesced that you bury down, and because of that, they're that much more real. But that's not really true either, because looking into the lyrics, this album can feel shockingly direct, initially dealing with depression, the collapse of relationships, and all the tangled emotions there, and then struggling to survive under late capitalism. Not so much a rallying cry, but a wry shrug to keep stumbling forward. In drawing the Genesis Owusu comparison, he often feels caught in systems outside of his control, but in comparison to someone like, say, Billy Woods, who can be just as strange, it also nails the unkempt drudgery and confusion of trying to understand any of it while noticing every crack with some tangible humor. And I think the humor is important to highlight here, because to certain audiences, a lot of this could come across like amateurish, outsider sad sack music that you would laugh at, and that misses the reality. He's laughing too. And this is where I tell you that despite all odds, this is insanely catchy. A low-key but remarkably sticky pop melodic sensibility, it underpins this album. And with a runtime just over a half hour, it makes it incredibly easy to revisit. Not gonna lie, I kinda love this full-length debut. I checked out the 2-song EP that precedes this, a pair of nocturnal synth-pop grooves where I was reminded the most of mid-80s Depeche Mode. But the fact that he could expand in such a fully textured and utterly unique album, it's wild. Once again, I know, I'm late to this. It could very well be one of the best of this year. A late surprise, to be sure. You're not going to hear anything else like this in 2023, and that's a great thing. Please check this out. So yeah, once again, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more reviews, please be sure to like, subscribe, drop comments, share this around. Again, if you've heard stuff like this or in this vein, I'd be curious what you could recommend, because again, this caught me off guard. It showed up on a bunch of year-end lists, and I'm like, okay, might as well give it a shot, and wow, it is something special, I'll say it. Beyond that though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you guys want to get projects on my schedule in the new year, or just talk with me on Discord or support the channel, link to my Patreon right over there. And as always, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse. I'll see you next time.